I think we're live.
And we're live. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the HVAC 2.0 show. We're running pretty thin, pretty light tonight, unless we got some people to come in a little late. But it looks like it's just going to be me and T for the night. Um, I guess. Well, what do we have on the agenda?
Well, so most recently we were talking about, where we get people to sign off that they've been offered to have their static pressure measured.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started talking about it's not a whole lot more work to do MeasureQuick. And so we might also offer MeasureQuick at the sales visit for the folks that are
Yeah.
qualified to do that.
Yeah. If the
Uh,
equipment's working, that is.
if the equipment's working. And what do you think? Um, what's it cost? About $1,000 to have the equipment to run MeasureQuick, a MeasureQuick report.
um, let's see. What would it be? I mean, probably so. Yeah. I mean, because really all you need is a probe kit, which would be what, 9 probes, I think, 2 pressure, 2 line temps, 3 air temp probes, and if you're saying 2 for static pressure, but most people only use 1 gauge for static. Field piece and some other ones have like a single port where you have to have 1 for the return, 1 for the supply. But I mean, really, 8 probes is really all you need, and you can do a MeasureQuick report.
Okay. And how much would it cost just to do static pressure? $250, $300?
Uh, I mean, really not even. I mean, if you spend $300 on a manometer, you're getting a good one. Like you could get that nice new single channel uh, micromanometer from Retrotech, something like that. Like, I mean, that's what you're getting for 300 ish, 300-400 range. I mean, you could for just static pressure if you wanted to be basic. I mean, around $100, 150 is
Okay.
really all you need to be able to check static.
Okay. And to run the MeasureQuick report costs $6 or $10.
$5. Well, it's 5 qubits, which is basically $5 per system.
Okay. Okay. Um, and
Which actually, I take that back. You could do it for free if you wanted to just do the classic report that just gives all the numbers and
Mhm.
such. It would be $5 to get like the full breakdown report, like with the vitals, to get the score. You know, F minus up to A plus type thing.
Okay. Well, the
So.
other thing is offering certain things, including the Measure Quick report as
Hmm.
part of the installation.
Yeah. Um.
We were
I
talking
wonder.
about doing a, thorough load calc. You were offered a thorough load calc via Comfort Consult. You were offered a heat pump. You were offered a hybrid. Um, you were offered to have your equipment size to match the existing duct capacity, and
Hmm.
you were offered a Measure Quick report after installation.
Yeah.
So maybe there would be offered a basic Measure Quick that doesn't cost any money at the sales quote.
Yeah. Um. I mean, that's kind of tricky because a big chunk of people are replacing broken equipment. So that might
Right.
be difficult. So checking static is something that's going to be a lot more feasible because odds are it's not going to be just a bad blower motor of why they're wanting to replace their system. Uh, but if it was running, I mean, yeah,
Right.
I
There's going to
think
be
so.
a notes field
Hmm.
after off. Um, yes, this was offered. I accepted, declined, or notes.
Yeah.
So, and it seems to me that since we're moving static pressure to the bottom of kind of the whole interview and education process before going to help people build their ideal replacement equipment specification through the matrix,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a good transition,
Yeah.
unless we put it below the matrix. But I have a feeling
I feel like it probably needs to
it
to
needs to be
come
embedded.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like on some of those, like on the offerings, like that's information you kind of need to know before you can put together
Put
their.
together the
Yeah.
ideal specification. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And for things like, if you're wanting to make MeasureQuick something like an offer, for me, I don't really make it an offering. It just kind of for $5, like
Right. So the
who cares?
logic between making MeasureQuick an offer was, I was feeling some frustration by the fact that I'm getting feedback from a lot of people that they're selling really good equipment and it's not getting installed well.
Okay, so that's more for scenarios of keeping the installation crew honest.
Well,
Like if the
even
homeowner
more,
buys something, then they need to be delivered on it since they paid for it.
well, so it ends up being a situation where the salesperson doesn't have a whole lot of control over the install quality,
Mm-hmm.
but the homeowner is going to expect him to be responsible for install quality.
Yeah.
And in order to sort of remove himself from that level of responsibility, I think what probably has to happen is, I kind of think the homeowner is gonna the salesperson has to offer a way for the homeowner to hold the install side of the business responsible for install quality. And so if they offer MeasureQuick, then if the homeowner declines the MeasureQuick, like for the and I was thinking, let me see, I'll try and present this. Um,
Yeah. And probably just make it really cheap. Like make it for them to say no, they're basically saying, I don't care if you botch this install. Like it has to be something like that for in order to kind of do it that direction.
right, right. So, um, like here, I was putting it in. Well, I'm putting it in as $100 in a basic install, $100 in a good install, and included for the better installs. And then this is the ideal choices where you know, you pick, you're going to use your 4-inch media that you bring it over here, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so does this kind of make sense? If we put MeasureQuick report either in the install choices, and we have it as one of the checklist of items that the
Mm-hmm.
homeowner signs, yes, these things were offered to me. Um,
Yeah.
then the salesperson can shift responsibility for, all of these situations. Hey, Jason.
Oh,
Jason
there's just
Trammell
yeah.
made it.
I was about to say, just notice he's here.
Um,
What's up? Sorry I didn't answer your phone call today, Ted. I was busy working.
yeah. So how are things down there?
Yeah, it's been pretty rough last week or so.
Yeah.
We're muddling through it.
Um, what is true and what isn't true down there? What are we hearing on the news that's true and what are we hearing on the news that's not?
Well, I haven't been up to North Carolina, so I can only speculate, but I think it's just up there. delayed reaction from the federal government, which is to be expected.
Right.
So, I mean, people, we can make do without them. So, you know.
As long as they're not blocking people from actually doing
Right.
stuff.
And I think that was mainly just like when they got there, they control the airspace, and then people were already getting stuff done, and then federal government comes in and they want to take control of everything. So,
So it was a little bit of a pissing match.
yeah, I mean,
Just by teapot dictators or something.
yeah, from what I understand, it's like we were already getting stuff done, and then they came in and slowed the process down because they had to get through their bureaucratic type stuff and checklists and whatnot
Yeah.
instead of
Well,
just getting it done.
So are they also saying there's no money? I mean, why are they slowing things down if they got no money to offer?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I haven't had time to dig into that too much. I mean, I've seen rumblings about that, but that, that's what happens when you trust the federal government too much.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. So
Gotcha.
yeah. Well, hopefully they don't make people too mad, because it's not like we don't have certain amendments, particularly, the second one down from the top that's meant for potential overreach and that sort of thing. It would be an awful shame if, people actually used it for what it was intended for, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah, so but we're getting by all right. I mean, we were without power for about 5.5 days where we're staying. It was pretty bad. I mean, worst thing I've ever seen since I've been alive in this area. So,
Wow.
I mean, it. I mean, so. And then there's another one bearing down on Florida now. So,
Yeah, I saw that.
but I mean, FEMA should have this in their budget, right? I mean, that hurricane season comes every year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
And
when
this is
that's
the
your whole
first one.
purpose.
And this is the first one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they should have it in their budget.
I mean, it's the same scenario like what happened in Maui. People's homes get completely burnt to the ground, and then the federal government's like, "Oh, how about $500? Does that make it better?
Right.
Maybe we won't come, confiscate your land, but build you a nice little monument so you can remember what you used to have while you know, sit around with nothing left but just burnt ground."
I mean, some of those places up in North Carolina that got up in the cut way back in the mountains, it'll be probably a decade before they can access it like they have been. There won't be roads. I mean, the roads are gone. I mean, whole towns are gone. Like Chimney Rock is gone. It won't, I mean,
That's
it'll
crazy.
take 50 years for it to come back. I mean, so it's been a mess, but it is what it is, I guess.
I guess it's probably not the best place to go mountain biking this winter.
Yeah, probably not the Asheville area, no.
And
I mean, like, we were supposed to go up to Tennessee this weekend. We were going to go to Dollywood, and then my son had a baseball tournament at East Tennessee State University. But we canceled it because I mean, other than going all the way around and adding about 3 hours to the trip, 26 and 40 are the only ways to get there. And they're both like a year away from being able to use again, like the
Wow.
interstates. So, but anyway, what were y'all talking about before I intervened?
So there have been some changes we're making to our approach to the free quote process.
Right.
And it's been a while since you've been here because you've been busy all summer and then this.
Right.
So to bring you up to speed, people are using the current free quote report and having pretty good luck by sending it as a follow-up. It just in the fact that it's, people end up, when you get a bunch of quotes, you forget the people are that helped you. It sort of ends up all blending.
Right.
And so by sending a thank you for inviting me to your house and allowing me to help you build your ideal replacement specification. It allows people to remember that you help them understand that the 6 functions is HVAC and that their current equipment doesn't provide any of them, and you help them decide which functions were important to them, so that you could choose the right equipment, and you help them understand likely load range and the issue of static pressure, and making sure that you didn't oversize your equipment to the ductwork, or if you did oversize the equipment to the ductwork, that you knew that you might be on the hook for replacing ductwork.
Right.
So there are all of those, like this is connected to this, which is connected to this, and these all interact in this decision. And you might want to get better equipment because this 15 to 20 year decision, it can be made well and it can be made poorly. And if you slow down just a little bit and think it through, you can come up with your best fit decision.
Yeah.
And so that is the free quote visit. But the free quote report, one of the things that we were thinking is we wouldn't have it follow the same process, because when people open an email about such a thing, if there's a lot of information that's just sort of blah, 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 they may not look at it.
Right.
And so what we wanted to do was, prioritize in the follow-up. So probably the priority is going to start with duct pressure, so that they're reminded, hey, because most of these houses, the duct pressure is looking like it's bad.
Yeah.
And so we want to say, hey, remember we talked to you about your duct pressure and it's bad. And then we're going to go into the issue of, oh, and by the way, your current equipment size is very high on the likely load range and it's single stage. So we would encourage you to lean towards the green, because that might help solve your duct pressure issue and a lot of your comfort issues of hot rooms and short cycling and all of this stuff that tie into the 6 functions of HVAC.
Right.
So we're going to kind of try and put it in, like, if we did this at the beginning of the visit, it would look like we were going in with high pressure fear-based sales. So we're going in with that last at the visit. But in the reminder, we're going in with it first, because by now we probably have done what's required to develop the relationship where you understand we're coming from a place of education, not high pressure sales. But we want to remind you of this important, all of it comes down to responsibly avoiding responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So this is like how to responsibly avoid responsibility, but also remind them of the information that we provided. and do it in such a way that we're also responsibly avoiding responsibility for the install and putting some pressure on the install team to install it properly. I mean, Jason Cecil told me a story about how one of his installs, the guys, they got the wrong transition and they hid the fact that it wasn't connected. Like it was under the insulation. There was a 4 by 12 inch gap connected straight to the attic. And so
Right.
it's I mean, any surprise the equipment wasn't keeping up, pulling out a
No.
140-degree attic.
No.
So, you know, and a lot of this stuff gets caught by MeasureQuick. And so we're having the conversation, okay, is MeasureQuick a thing that we'd want the install guys to do after they finish the install? Or is this a thing like Ronnie's saying that they have a what do they call it? Peace of mind courtesy visit by the service tech, which is sort of the service tech's opportunity to sell a annual maintenance plan. So they have this courtesy visit. The courtesy peace of mind visit could include MeasureQuick.
Yeah.
You know, and that way the salesperson has a peace of mind as well as the customer that this equipment was installed well.
Yeah. What we do is every system we sell comes with a 1-year maintenance agreement or whatever it is, preventative maintenance agreement.
Oh, so you go back.
Yeah. So, because I mean, a lot of times you'll either install it in the summer and you can't obviously check the heat in the summer, or install it in the winter and you can't check the air conditioning in the winter. So, or you can check it, but you can't check it accurately. So we give 1-year spring fall maintenance agreement, and then that gives with that
It gives you the
get-
opportunity to do that.
you get to follow up, and more than likely they stick with us and continue the maintenance agreement after that and pay for it. So
Right.
and I mean, I would love to have installers that I had to check, you know, on doing the installs, but I do them myself, so I know I'm not going to leave a 4-inch gap on the supply plan.
Right.
But I mean, maybe one day I'll have to go back and check other guys' work. But right now it's pretty much me and some help, just lifting stuff. But yeah, as far as a bigger company where you're just a sales guy, then MeasureQuick can definitely pick up on a lot of stuff that gets not installed very good.
Yeah, and this is the problem once you start using the HVAC20 sales process, you realize that you're offering better equipment that is the idea is it's you're not selling the equipment, you're selling the outcome.
Yeah.
And if they don't properly weigh in the charge, and if they don't properly set up the airflow, and they like all of these little things, can lead to poor performance and a disappointed homeowner. And the sales guy is the face of that.
Right.
Yep.
So figuring out a way to kind of bat that back in the homeowner's court.
I mean, really, it's not the home. I mean, there's no way. I mean, it's on the company. Once you get that sale, it's on the company to provide what they sold. So,
well, except if you offer MeasureQuick and the homeowner declines, then when they call you as a salesperson, you get to say, so this is why I begged you to buy the MeasureQuick, because the MeasureQuick would have told me, and then I could have taken MeasureQuick to the owner and said that the install guys didn't do their job.
Yeah.
But at this point, you got to go to the owner because I got nothing to take to him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but I mean, I guess I have a different viewpoint because I
Well,
do
you're the
measure
owner,
quick. I mean, I do measure quick on everything. So
right? And you're
not,
the owner.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, I charge people for it, obviously, to pay for it and everything. But it's not like
Right, but
I'm gonna
imagine you're a
say,
salesperson working for a company and the company doesn't seem quite as interested as you are
yeah,
in helping people buy better equipment. In fact, they just like to sling single stage crap, oversized crap.
yeah, that's a tough cookie there. Because I mean,
So if you offer MeasureQuick as a salesperson and the homeowner says yes, that allows you to hold your company's feet to the fire on the quality of the install.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
if the homeowner says no, then you're able to say to the homeowner, this service, if you had paid for it, would have been a tremendous protective tool for you in raising the bar over the average level of quality installed out there.
hmm
Yeah. Which I wonder.
I mean, Jason quit his second job because of this.
Yeah.
After 3 or 4 months, they were just installing the stuff like garbage, and he said, I
What?
can't go back and fix this stuff.
Yeah. Which I wonder what if you kind of paired what you're saying there along with instead of like saying, hey, if you'll buy this MeasureQuick report, this is something the installers will have to do. Instead, as the salesperson, talk to the company, say, hey, here's something like there's this MeasureQuick report. It costs $5. We're going to sell it for $75. I want 50 of it.
Oh, right.
And when I sell them, I'm going to go back out after the installers are done, and then I'm going to run this MeasureQuick report, and we're going to see what it looks like. And if the homeowner buys it, great. If they don't, well then, like you said, it's on them. So then it kind of puts this leverage point on the company owner to basically be like, they're going to have to say no to money, because I mean, if you're selling a $5 thing and they're getting $25 out of it, I mean that's a pretty high. What is that like? I mean, 65, 70% margin or whatever. They're going to have to say no to money, and they're going to have to say, no, we don't want to see if what we're doing is worth the crap. And if they say no to that and you're a salesperson, you might want to consider where you're working. Or you might want to say something along the lines of, okay, hey, owner company, I've now offered you to ensure that what's happening is happening well. If I sell something and it doesn't get installed properly, it's on you. I've did all I could to try to help make sure this goes smoothly. You've said you don't want it to go smoothly, so whoop-de-doo.
Right, right. Don't give me any trouble about
Yeah,
anything that you issues you have with a
yeah.
homeowner.
yeah.
And
The
so, I mean,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I mean, the problem you're going to run into, which I know Measure Quick and Jim and all them have, is I mean, companies have been surviving for a long time just slamming boxes in. And you start putting the Measure Quick report out there and people start doing it accurately and they see how bad stuff gets installed, but then it takes an additional amount of time to fix those things and that eats into their bottom line. So they'd rather just slam boxes in.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
hang on a second though, because if we're doing if the equipment's sold via the free quote report,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to be buying better equipment. It's going to be properly sized to the ductwork, and it's going to be properly sized to the house. And particularly if it's multiple stage, even if they size a little bit in the yellow, it'll go way down here outside of range of the green.
yeah.
And so by using a sales process that gets really good equipment, really appropriately sized, sold, the company's in a place where they're not screwed showing up at the house. You know, if you sold an 80,000 BTU furnace on 2 ton of ductwork, well, there's not a lot the company can do to make that right. So if the sale is the first place you can avoid the problem. And so if you have a sales process that avoids the problem, then all of those downstream things can be fixed much more easily because they're not a design issue or a sales issue. They are an install issue.
Yeah.
Does that argument hold?
Yeah. Well, I think where it kind of holds in with following the process is really, if someone's doing something differently than your other salesperson, and things don't pan out well, their only argument they can try to have is that, oh, well, you sold the wrong equipment. Well, if you sold the right equipment, like if you follow this process, you're selling smaller, variable speed equipment, and you've went through the process, the odds that you're going to have your standard problems with high duct pressure because you just went like for like, or you upsized because you thought it was too small, and all these other things are not going to be the real problem. The real problem, like you said, is going to be install, and what that's going to lead to is loss of capacity. And that's why everything's been oversized so much, because people are throwing in these 4-ton systems that are only really doing 2.5 ton, 3 tons of cooling. And so if you have the ability to go behind, and if somebody says, no, you sold the wrong equipment, if you can go behind and go, no, I sold the right equipment, I sold a 3-ton, you just installed it and it's only doing 1.8, 2 tons of cooling. If you could make it do its full capacity of cooling, we wouldn't have an issue. This is on you. Like, if you have a way of proving that, at least that is way easier to fix than an oversized system with static pressure that's through the roof and all these other things.
Yeah,
So,
you're gonna have to replace ductwork or replace the equipment.
Yeah.
If you get the equipment wrong at sale.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get the install wrong, that's much easier to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And through a process that documents how all these decisions were made and who took the risk and who took the responsibility of certain decisions.
Yep.
And that you educated the homeowner about all of their decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their opportunities. Is that you think that's a strong counter argument, Jason?
I don't know. I mean, that's not what I see. I mean, obviously, not a whole lot of people are using the free-tail process. They're using whatever process they've come up with to sell stuff, and it's always been bigger and more expensive, and slam it in and be done with it.
Burn up the ECM blower.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a long road ahead to get to where you're talking about.
Well,
MeasureQuick does. I mean, it does make it a lot easier to see where those faults are, but the amount of people that are actually using it is, I mean, it's minuscule in the grand scheme of things. Even just in my area, I mean, I don't know how your area is, Tanner, or I'm sure.
But would
it's
you
similar,
agree?
but
Would you agree that the catastrophic problems happen at sale?
yeah.
Yes.
And
They absolutely do.
that if you have a process to avoid the catastrophic problems, then it's if it's an install item, it doesn't require replacing brand new equipment with brand new equipment.
Yeah, but in the homeowner's eyes, it's they sold me too small of equipment, rip it out and replace it on the company's dime because they didn't go through your process. So I'm not I mean, most people don't use free quote counselors.
Well, most people in that situation are oversizing the equipment and burning up blower motors and not getting the capacity they were sold.
Right.
So going bigger in that case makes the problem worse.
Yes.
And if they go from oversized to grossly oversized, because that again is a sales process problem.
Yep.
I mean, that's solved with likely load range.
But for instance, say you sell the right sized equipment, and then you have a company that installs, or say you're a salesman for a company, you don't know anything about their technicians or installers or whatever. You sell a piece of equipment, it's right size, everything's great. They go install it. It doesn't work great. Nobody knows how to use MeasureQuick to verify that it's delivering the capacity. Nobody knows how to look under the insulation to see if there's a 4-inch wide gap. The company ends up eating that and putting in a bigger system for the
And then
homeowner
eating,
to make
and
them
then
happy.
eating the bigger system too.
Eventually, they'll just stop answering the phone and go out
Yeah.
of business. Hopefully.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to fix that. I think people that have bad sales process deserve to go out of business. That's sort of survival of
Yes.
the fittest.
Yep.
I agree.
And I'm not trying to solve for that or for those people, or like they don't give any thought to integrity in the way that they behave or their interaction with the homeowner. And so like I'm all good with that, and to some extent, buyer beware. That's the homeowner on the risk for that. I think if we deploy this process, and homeowners like it, and they tell their friends about it, then they will want others to use this process with them. And if we and the problem with this process is we don't currently have a way to verify quality of the install, and MeasureQuick solves that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that there is no pissing match between the salesperson, the company, and the homeowner. The salesperson can stand behind the homeowner.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
I see that with the guys, the comfort consult guys, they're never getting callbacks for equipment that they specified. The only callbacks they'll ever have is because somebody's installed it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or they commission the thermostat wrong. And those are all pretty easy fixes because these guys are all, usually top of the top techs anyway. They already have all the tops, like Tanner and yourself.
Right.
So I think what we got to do is be able to we need to protect guys that don't have top of the tech ability. And I think MeasureQuick does that. For an average sales guy, MeasureQuick provides them the protection where they can feel confident in their sale.
Yep. But the only thing to that is they're going to have to be the ones that do the MeasureQuick, the sales guy.
Well, so that's part of the thing that we've been working through right now. And that could be the salesperson. It could be the installers, and it could be the technicians when they go out to try and, talk to the homeowner about signing up for an annual service plan.
Right.
So it could be any of those three. And I imagine it will probably be different companies will be different. Sometimes it'll be the salesperson. Sometimes it'll be, like Reedy would probably do it for his company. So he's the sales guy.
Right.
For Austin and Ronnie, it's going to be the service tech that goes out later to talk to the peace of mind courtesy visit.
Right.
For you, it's you're the salesperson.
Yeah.
Right. For Tanner, it's going to be Tanner because he's the salesperson. Some places, if you get a really good install crew, they're going to want to do it because they're going to want to check their work. You get a crappy install crew, I don't think you're going to want to count on them to do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely going to be companies where the installers are doing it, but I don't think that's really the better route. I think it is better to have someone else to do the final test out or commissioning of a system rather than the person that spent all day putting it in.
I would agree with that.
Because
I
know
if I was an installer, I'd be tired and I'd want to wrap it up and let somebody else come do the final check.
Yeah.
And feedback to me if I did something wrong.
Yeah. And I think it's a good place for the salesperson to do that just because it kind of serves as that follow up, tie everything back up. If you have a system for asking for referrals or reviews, that's a good way of really tying it in, being like, okay, I came when you had your problem initially, helped you guide you through to the decision. We handed this off to an install crew. They got it put in. Then I come back around again, and then I did quality assurance to make sure that the people that did all this, that nothing was missed. And if it was, we got it taken care of, blah, blah, blah. And, it really ties everything in nicely. Plus, if you're the salesperson and you kind of get some of this experience, well, then if you're the type of person who's not that, comes from a tech background or something like what you were saying, it gives you some experience on seeing, that side of like a functioning system. Like you get some experience to see what an actual working unit looks like. And if you do test one out and something's not quite right, and you get to see how that plays out and how those, nagging problems become a thing. So you can kind of get experience in a sense from that rather than just being completely disconnected from everything as soon as, after you get the signature.
I think that's a good idea. The salesperson learning how to do it and following up with what they sold.
Yeah.
Because they're probably making more off of that sale, especially at larger companies, than anybody else that touches that job, other than the owner of the company.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of it, they can get paid for that last visit if that's baked into the job for somebody to get paid for that follow-up visit.
Yeah.
Or the company can give them somebody's got to pay the $1,000.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so if I'm a salesperson, I got to buy $1,000 worth of tools. I would like to get paid every time I use the tool.
Yeah. And I really don't see a problem with the salesperson having to buy tools just because it's already a standard where if you're a service tech, it's expected of you to buy your own hand tools and
Right.
such.
I would
So
agree.
there's already that it's already baked in anyways. And especially if you can approach the company to be like, okay, hey, how about this? I will buy the expensive tools and I'm going to sell it. I just want this in return. So then you can kind of you give the company no reason to not to say no. And so you're going to get them to buy into it as well. And
Right.
if you get them to kind of have some form of investment, whether that investment be giving money or receiving or agreeing to receive money, you can kind of get some form of buy-in. So that way, it's not just hey, there's Danny over here doing his weird little iPad, tricks. Nobody knows why he's doing that, but there he goes. We don't tell him no, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of these companies will do a tool allowance or a matching allowance.
Yeah. And
So,
I mean, any company that would hear somebody that's willing to do something like that, they have to be moronic to say no. And
yeah, it would be an indicator that maybe that salesperson.
That's not a company you want to work at.
Yeah,
exactly.
That seemed to be what happened to Cecil.
Because if anybody's eager to want to do better, then and the company says no, then
Right. What's that?
Yeah.
that's stupid.
Yeah. And whether they actually do it or not, every company is going to say, yeah, we want to, we want our things to be better. We want to push, push the envelope. We want to do this. We want to do that. And so it's going to be easy to get them to say yes. It's just, when they do say yes, and if that ends up yielding not so great things of uncovering problems,
Yeah.
that's it. It gets you in a leverage spot to be like, hold on a second. I spent my money. I'm going out and I'm doing this work. I'm getting essentially extra money for something that you weren't I mean, the customer is paying for us to come and make sure that we did a good job. And that's what I'm doing. Tell me why this is a problem. Like
Yeah,
you're
that's
setting
where
yourself up in a spot where, I
big
mean,
issue is.
yeah, I
They
mean,
don't want to know.
yeah,
They
exactly.
they're just cashing checks,
Yeah.
and they're like, and then you bring up problems, and you got to send
Oh
trucks
yeah.
out to fix stuff that otherwise would either come as a callback later, probably,
Hmm.
or you'd lose a customer. But bigger companies, they don't give a shit about that. They're doing 5, 6
So
installs a day. They don't give a
Yeah.
shit. They're cashing 15, 20, $30,000 checks
at some point,
5
if they've
times a
got
day.
30% callback rate on the install, that's got to hit somebody's account.
Has it hit Ronnie's companies?
They don't have that.
Because they don't
They
care.
don't. They don't. They do care. They keep trying to figure out different ways to improve. Like Ronnie's company, surprisingly, the more I talk to like Jason Cecil and Jeff Howard and all the like, Ronnie's company's actually
They
top
back
of the
their shit up.
heap.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like people that do shit wrong, that they go out and fix it, and they will stand behind it.
Mhm.
And to the extent that sometimes, even they're not paying attention whether or not the homeowner was given opportunities.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to manage. A lot of this stuff is hard to manage. I'll hear about, a comfort consult Ronnie performed, and the people replaced one piece of equipment, and then a year later they were planning on replacing the other, and they had it all specified, and they sent the wrong sales guy. And so instead of getting a heat pump, the guy got a air conditioner.
Mm.
Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, who buys a 5-stage air conditioner? Like, who sells a 5-stage air conditioner without documenting that they tried to sell a heat pump and the person insisted on an air conditioner?
Yeah.
Because it's
YouTube won't let me say who.
Right. Right. I mean, it's fingernails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so but those are like sort of the small things. They're continuously getting better, and I think some of the sales guys are even starting to show some interest in using this process, because it does. I mean, remember what those first 2 months Jason Cecil and I were working together, and we took his revenue per lead from 6,200 to 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The process works for helping people choose better equipment.
Yep.
And being more confident in their decisions so that they're able to make decisions quicker.
Yep. It does a great job. But the problem lies in the follow through of the installers and the company, really.
Yep.
I mean, that's the problem.
Yep.
Now.
That's
I
the
mean,
problem now. That's the
you've got the
problem now.
process.
And so that's why we're putting in these extra items.
Yep.
You were offered a heat pump. Yes. Okay. You were offered a hybrid. Yes. You were offered to size equipment to match the duct capacity. One of the things that I don't know if you were there for that, Jason Trammell, but one of the things Cecil was telling us before he met us, that's how he was sizing equipment.
Yeah.
He was sizing it to ductwork
with no strip heat.
With no strip heat. And people were happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, right? He's downsizing a ton. He's downsizing from 4 to 2.5 ton.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's how oversized stuff is
Mm-hmm.
on the regular.
yeah. Yeah. So the other thing about this process is it brings forward the conversation. If you oversize equipment, you may be on the hook for $10,000 to $15,000 of replacement ductwork in order to bring your equipment into manufacturer specified operating parameters.
Yeah. And it's still oversized.
Well, and it just makes your short cycling worse.
Yeah.
And your temperature imbalance is worse. But at least your equipment won't blow up in 4 years. And aren't you glad that you spent $15,000 on ductwork instead of redefining your attic and your basement?
Yeah.
So that you could have grossly oversized equipment instead of a more comfortable house? I mean, the logic of let's lean towards the green, and if you still have comfort issues, let's spend the money you would have spent on new ductwork improving the house to bring your load down.
Yep. Or replacing your equipment every 10 years.
Rather than replacing your equipment every 8 to 10 years.
Yeah. And I mean, it used to not be like that. Like, I don't know if it's
Well, the
build
equipment
quality.
was so robust.
Yeah.
It's not just build quality. It was less efficient because it had thicker heat exchangers. It was less efficient because it had less efficient, more robust motors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a war on things that work, but it's a fight for efficiency. And efficiency is fragile. And so you have a much narrower operating range, and you need to be much better at hitting those operating targets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also like chasing or going towards something that's more efficient isn't inherently bad. It's just it reduces that margin of error. It's kind of like
It reduces margin error.
Yeah, if say you're building a race car, I mean, everyone knows like the danger zone in tuning is going to be if you run too lean. But guess what? If you you adjust your timing and you run your air fuel mixture more lean, you're going to make more power. So that's like the little deadly like push and pull play of like, you want to run as lean as you can and make power, but you don't want to go too much and blow up your engine.
Yeah.
So it's like, is cutting back the fuel or pushing the timing forward, is that bad because it can blow your engine up? Not necessarily. It's just it has to be done right. Same thing with efficiency. It's like if you want to have your unit to be more efficient, to do the same job with less energy, you just got to do it right the first time. It can be done very well, and if you do it very well, in the long run, it's going to pay off. Because it's going to pay off because, okay, what happens in 10 years in the future? Now battery backup and solar is very available to just the common person. Well, guess what? Now you don't have to have as much batteries because you have a more efficient system because it doesn't use as much energy. So now, it's like it's setting yourself up for in the long term, it's going to be helpful. Like there's not the only way that it goes bad is if you just do it poorly to begin with.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. It's just like, more horsepower, you better have a more robust transmission. You better have more robust suspension. You better have more robust brakes. The Everybody's
You-
complaining about the new Performance Model 3.
Are they?
Oh, if you take it to the track, the brakes are toast after one lap.
Oh boy.
And apparently, the way the brakes go is they go from working to not working.
Oh.
Like once they overheat, and fortunately, when you have it in track mode, you can see the temperature of all these different things. But
Mhm.
once they overheat, if you're going in hot to that corner, you might find yourself on the grass.
Oh boy.
So
Is it
anybody
just
that wants to track that car is going to have to change for carbon ceramics.
Is it is it just too small of like brakes, or I mean I'm
No,
assuming I don't
I
know
think
what size, like I
I
mean
don't know. I think it's just,
hmm,
not really designed for track use.
well, I mean, I think if you're going to sell a performance car that has track mode, um, it should be it should
N-
be able to handle
Brake,
being used
not
as a
run into
performance
the
car on
wall.
track.
Or you should have a track kit that's an upgrade with better
Yeah.
brakes.
Well, I mean, I just assumed that's what the performance
Track.
model was, because I mean,
No. There's this guy who does the Nuremberg I forget
yeah.
his name, but he did the car without the brakes, and the guy came back a week later with the brakes, and he's like, "Oh, this is such an amazing track car, just an
Mm,
amazing track car." And the important thing is the brakes.
So all he did was just swap out to ceramics.
He changed to fancier brakes, yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
That's
which is
interesting.
fine. Like if I got the car, I'd probably never drive it hard enough that I get any kind of brake fade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 99 out of 100 people who buy that car would
Oh yeah.
never have an issue.
They're
Yeah.
not taking it to the
Um,
track.
I mean, you and I both have Performance Model Ys. We ever even get into the brakes?
Um, I mean, there may have been a few trips to Mexico that required it, but
We're from the
under
South, Ted.
un,
We're
under
gonna give
normal
her
drive,
hell.
under normal driving, no. I almost never touch the brakes. Full self driving hits the brakes way more often than I do.
Right. Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
I'm all
actually
about
when I
full
first,
sim driving.
yeah, that
Full
was
sim.
actually one of the things that I didn't like about full self driving when I first got it was since it was still kind of braking hard, because I was like the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, bitch, using up my brakes. Will you
Yeah,
just
right.
slow down?
I want that energy back in the battery, you
Yeah,
asshole.
yeah. If we're gonna be hitting the brake, I want to be hitting it for a good reason. I want to.
Right. Oh, so
Yeah,
hey, JT, did you know Tanner got a Cybertruck?
I think I watched 2 weeks ago
Okay,
on YouTube, and yeah, I
he,
saw the truck.
he got full self driving this week.
Hmm.
Cool.
Finally.
Finally, that car is full zoot, and I
Yep.
got an offer to buy a non-foundation car.
Oh, you did?
Well, because I'm an early reservation holder. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd seen where people were starting to get those non-foundation series invites.
I don't know what that means, but
Saves 20 grand.
Yeah.
But you don't, there's a bunch of stuff you don't get. Like, did you hook that up so that you can power your house back?
I'm working on it now. I've got it mounted to the wall, but I've not pulled the wires yet.
Okay. So what's involved?
Um, you just install the gateway, which you can do it a few different ways. The way that I'm installing it is basically the gateway acts as you're basically replacing your main panel with it. Like it now becomes the main panel where your main feeders come into the gateway, and you've got a bus
like a
bar. Yeah, you can.
transfer switch
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
generator.
that's basically what it is. It's got an inverter and stuff, and it's got let me think. I think you can add
You got to
5
pull
double
the
pole.
meter.
What's that?
You got to pull the meter.
Yes, I will have to disconnect power because I'll have to basically take my feeders loose on my main panel now. It'll turn the gateway into my main panel, and then you feed your old main panel from the gateway, which then kind of basically makes it become a sub panel. So you turn your main panel into a sub panel, the gateway becomes the main panel, and you install your charger into the gateway itself, and there you connect some communication wires to the charger. And so if you lose power and it senses that and your truck's plugged up, then it knows to then send power back from the truck to the gateway, and then from the gateway into your whatever sub panel that you have that tied to.
Okay. Are you going to be able to hook both of your high-powered wall chargers to it, or just one?
You can only that's one thing I'm not 100% sure about because of the communication wires going into that charger. I don't know if you can. I don't know if it's something where you can. Is it just like a looped network that you can just connect your like 4 more communication wires to the other charger, and that's all that's needed to do that? I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I've
It's
got once I
probably
get to
just
that point, I'll see.
it's probably just like a 12-volt DC battery that's in the transfer switch that powers the
Yeah,
solenoid to
yeah,
switch from
yeah.
main to. That's probably.
Well,
I mean, there
there's
ain't no.
4. Yeah, there's 4 wires that's going to it. 2 of them is your 12-volt DC, but then the other 2 is communication back to the board itself.
It's probably for sensing. It probably
Uh,
senses that the power went out on the
yeah,
grid.
yeah, basically, because the truck has to know that power has went out, so then the truck can send power back into the house.
Right, and that's what those comm wires are. And
Yeah,
the 12-volt DC makes the solenoid that breaks
yeah,
breaks the grid and makes the generator,
yeah, yeah.
which is the truck. So, but hey, I could have used it last week.
Yeah, right.
I
That truck
had a
would have
Yeah.
been, a lot of people could have used that
yeah,
truck.
Oh
I
yeah.
had a 2400 watt little portable gen that we ran the fridge and some lights. I was cooking on the grill, and I got a propane burner and grill, charcoal, and that's how we survived without
Yeah.
losing all our food. And so, shit,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to just plug in the car and be like, we good for a couple days until then. What?
Yeah.
So I think if you had a power wall, it would handle that. And I think you could charge a power wall from a small generator. So if the power wall
Yeah.
got to a low point, you connect a generator to it, and it
Yeah. The generator be the backup to the backup.
the generator is the backup to the backup. Yeah.
The gas still wins.
Yeah.
Well,
Unless you have solar.
But what if it's cloudy?
solar works.
That's where the
Like a
batteries.
hurricane.
Yeah. That's where the batteries come in.
That's where the batteries come in for the cloudy days.
So 75 grand.
Yeah,
Plus
it's getting
100.
cheaper though. It's getting
Yeah.
cheaper.
175 grand. We could hook this up.
Yeah.
Or for a $500 generator, we could run the fridge. And we'll be out.
Or an $80,000 truck.
$80,000 truck that needs
Yeah.
a $500 generator to trickle charge.
Yeah.
Well,
We're getting the.
I get solar on my house. I have my truck for battery backup. I put 1 power wall in, and I mean, then I'm
And then you're
good to
independent.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then when everybody's standing in line at the gas station, I just go hop in my Model Y and I go drive around wherever I need to go.
Yeah. Do
I
burn
just wave at them as I
donuts in the
drive by.
parking lot.
Yeah. I'm running power my whole house. They're like, we've got a refrigerator and we got 1 light in the living room. I'm like, I ain't skipped a beat. I got Starlink. I've been watching Netflix.
Yeah. Oh boy, that whole Starlink debacle where they canceled
That's
that
crazy.
Starlink order.
That
A
is
lot of
crazy.
people, apparently they think a lot of people died because they didn't have Starlink.
Yeah, Elon sent a bunch of them to North Carolina, and
Yeah.
they were shipping them. I saw drones taking them over the mountain
Mhm.
Really?
and dropping them off to people. Yeah,
Drones flying Starlink.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Because
That is
I mean, like it's literally like a war
Yeah.
zone. Like there's bridges are all gone, roads, and these are like I don't
real
know how.
bridges.
I
Yeah.
mean these are like mountains, like backwoods mountains, like where there's maybe 15, 20 houses on the side of a mountain, and there's only one way in and out, and all the roads are washed out. There's no way to get them. They're taking mule trains, like mules,
Oh my gosh.
to bring people supplies and stuff. So
Mhm. Yep.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean
these are
there's
people
not
that
going to be
never thought they'd be that cut off.
no there's going to be no internet for probably at least a couple of years in those places, and other than satellite.
Mhm.
And I mean road just access, it's going to be I mean they're setting up like tractor trailers, like flatbed trailers, 18-wheeler flatbeds across rivers to be able to get ATVs and UTVs and stuff across to bring people
Oh,
in and out and get supplies and stuff.
you would think that just that decision, that punitive decision to not do Starlink would be enough to ensure the election. I mean, that there's just
Yeah.
no excuse for that.
Yeah.
They got zero, they got billions of dollars, and all of those people would have internet now if they hadn't canceled that contract. And they deliver no internet to any rural people.
Mhm.
They could have all had internet by now.
Yep. That
And the funding
it's
was there.
we
And
used to
they had a
have
contract.
Yep.
at our office we can't get Spectrum, which is the cable provider, and we can't get AT&T, which is the fiber optic and or phone line people where we're at. So we had it was called ClearLink. It was satellite. They had a satellite on the water tower, and we had great internet at the office, phones and internet. It was awesome. But apparently, since that whatever it is, some kind of rural development bill passed or some shit on, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. But he had to go out of business because he wasn't one of their guys that
Oh, was
that
given
made the
kickbacks.
lists.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they were doing E911 in the area. They were doing all the businesses in the city.
So did you switch to Starlink or what'd you do?
No, we got fucking Verizon and it's trash. That box, it's like a square thing and it is terrible.
Mm.
It is so bad.
Yeah, you might want to look at Starlink.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a gig fiber connection, I mean, that's exactly what I would go to.
I need to look at something because
Yeah. You could get it at
Spectrum,
Home Depot.
you can get what?
They
You
sell
can
them at Home
get it
Depot now?
at Home Depot, I think.
No, you can't.
And Best Buy and yeah.
Starlink?
Yeah.
No.
I could see it at Best Buy potentially because I know Best Buy you can buy their like Tesla chargers and stuff. So, but I didn't know they had them in Home Depot, which it has been a
No.
while since I've even looked. Really,
Somebody
let's
was
look.
saying it. I'm not certain.
They
Let me
ain't got
look.
that. They ain't got it at Home Depot. I don't even think they have it at Best Buy. I haven't seen it anywhere, or whatever, available on the market other than going to Tesla. And
Yeah, they got it at Home Depot, West Marine, Amazon, Deal Hunter,
In
Alley
Anderson?
Express. I don't know. I'm just doing a Google search.
29621.
Starlink at Home Depot, and then I'll ask if it's at Best Buy. Starlink,
Oh wow, 3. Has it? I thought I didn't.
Best
I was
Buy.
like,
Yeah,
I was like,
oh
yeah.
no, TP Link. It's not at Best Buy. Just Home Depot. 349, 249.
Yeah, that's cheaper than. What was it?
They
Seems
have
like it.
different ones. They have different ones. They have small ones and bigger ones.
Okay. Okay. So this is the standard. Okay. What? Okay. There's the high perform. Oh dang. What's the difference in the high performance and?
They have a mini, which is sort of like you can carry in a backpack.
I'm paying
Yeah,
like $150 a month to Verizon for this thing that we can barely operate business.
oh
Well,
boy.
okay. So I think I'm sure Starlink has a $150 a month plan that you'd be very happy with, because I think the cheapest plan's $50 a month.
Yeah. I have to look into it because literally, like, I have to call forward our shop phone to my cell phone because
Mm.
our shop phone doesn't even work. And like the internet down there, it's so bad. Like, it's so bad. It's like 2 megabytes per second.
Oh boy.
I mean, like, you can't even load a page.
Yeah, because I've been seeing people mount them on the top glass on the inside to the Cybertruck, so then that way they have internet wherever they go. And it's not a big enough pain point for me, but there are some areas where, which AT&T sucks.
Yep. I hate them.
Uh,
I still
I'm
owe them
not.
$362, and I'm not paying.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah. People that wear AT&T shirts, just inherently just don't like them immediately less than anyone else, just because of how terrible AT&T is. But I have considered getting a Starlink, mounting it into the truck, so that way when I'm out doing jobs and that sort of stuff, I don't have to deal with loss of connectivity, because I mean,
Your
there's
phone
places,
goes out sometimes.
yeah, and it's bad, and it's just because, and and they'll sometimes it's like they'll have a tower down and they'll be working on it and their system will glitch, and you'll just be in a spot where they're just like, sorry, but you just are not going to have connectivity right now. And it's like, well, it's a good thing I have internet, I guess, because otherwise nobody could ever call me if I'm at home anymore. And beyond annoying.
Yeah. But we've been with Verizon for shit 30 what is it? Probably about 30 years. And I mean the cell service is fine. It's just whatever reason at our office we just don't get shit. And supposedly the cable guys are supposed to be, we're right near a railroad track, so they've always had trouble with the railroad authority getting the lines over there. That's what they've always said. So they're supposed to be bringing it down, but they've been saying that for about 10 years. So I'm not going to hold
Of
my
course.
breath.
Yeah.
And we had AT&T for a while for phones and internet, and it was way better than what we got now, but it was DSL or whatever. It was not good. But the best thing we ever had was Clearlink, which was a satellite. I don't know what they ran on. I don't get into all that stuff, but it worked. It was fast. Phones never hiccuped. It was good. And now we're stuck with nothing because whatever happened with that rural development bill that passed.
They decided to go after to politicize their relationship with Elon Musk. First, they said he couldn't deliver it, and then they said he would be too much of a monopoly.
Yeah.
Um,
It might have been Starlink that, because it was called Clearlink. He was probably shooting off of Starlink satellites from the water tower and sending signal to everybody that was on his thing.
oh, that guy, I don't know.
But it worked. I mean, it worked. But he went out of business because of whatever.
That's too bad. All right, guys. Thank you for coming. Nice to hear from you, Jason.
Yep.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, sorry I didn't answer your phone call today, but
That's okay. I just wanted to hear how you were doing. It's been a long time. So
Yep.
thanks for coming and
Yeah.
telling us how you're doing.
we're good.
And thanks for noodling through this. I think we've worked through. We're going to have to get the changes made to the report and the changes made to the interview process, and then let people run with it for a little bit and
Sure.
figure out how to make the next improvements after that.
Yep. But
I think
it's good.
having MeasureQuick in there is going to be crucial because it might have helped. It might have helped Cecil.
Yeah, I mean, verification is key. I mean, you can sell the world, but if you can't verify that it works, it's like not having no brakes on the track with a track car.
It's like not having. That's right. That's right.
You got to verify performance
Mm-hmm.
or upgrade it.
I still really think I want that car.
Get it?
I might. I might. I got to
Yeah.
test drive it first. Tanner's going to let me drive his truck, so that's probably the competition.
Mm.
It's either the truck or the Performance 3.
That truck's
Oh,
so
boy.
damn ugly.
Oh no, it's actually
No.
it grows on you.
Yes.
No, I don't.
It really
Yes, it
grows
does.
on you too. Yeah, it does.
I love it.
It's ugly.
It makes other trucks look stupid.
Oh, yeah. It definitely does.
God, other trucks look so
Yeah.
like, why is that truck so ugly? Why isn't it just smooth and bad looking?
It looks like, well, it definitely has like a tactical look to it, which
It
is
looks
the
like a
part that I
vehicle.
like. It looks like something that's like, okay, that's like it's tactical, it's utilitarian, and it's just tough. To where now, like all the newer trucks, it's like, oh, look, you're one hellstorm away from being totaled. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My truck drive through a hailstorm.
Yeah, well, you're the guy that buys the total hailstorm damaged trucks.
I would. Yeah.
Of course. That's totally utilitarian, man.
I'm out a Gatling gun on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
All right,
All right,
fellas.
guys. 2 weeks. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes,
See y'all.
sir. See you.